This next guest is very special to my heart. She's actually lives within my county. Her name is Aja Smith, and I'm going to read you. She has a strong background. I'm going to let her tell you a little bit about it. But I'm going to give you a bit I got off of her website, a little bit of bio on her, okay? And I don't want to miss anything. And I'm sure she'll be very outspoken and tell me if I did miss something and share with you as much as she can. But Aja Smith, she's dedicated her career to serving her country. She's a veteran, folks. Yes, she is. She's a veteran living and working. Living and working, and I say that "and" in bold font, okay? Living and working in the 41st District, where she is looking to get elected to Congress as a member of the United States House of Representatives. Aja grew up in Moreno Valley, California, and she was raised by both her mother and her grandmother. Loving women. I've met them, just phenomenal people. They both worked long hours as nurses, providing for Aja and ensuring she had every opportunity that her peers had. Both of Aja's grandparents served in the U.S. military. She has a military family, everybody. Her grandfather was a veteran of World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. Her great uncle, wow, he was a pilot. My family, I have pilots in my family, and what they went through, I mean, it's just unbelievable. In 2002, Aja joined the United States Air Force Reserve, and in 2007, she was deployed to Qatar. Today, Aja is a federal employee at March Air Force Base, Reserve Base, I'll correct that, and she's in information technology, and she's located, again, she lives and works in the 41st District. Thank you for being on the Erin Cruz Show. Aja, we are so glad to have you. It's refreshing to have everybody on my show like you who just, they see it, they feel it, they know it. They're real folks. They're patriots. They're in many cases veterans. Thank you for coming on the show, and thank you for running for Congress.
Well, thank you for having me, and I'm telling everybody, Erin should have made top 2 for our Senate in California. And I know, Erin, your time is going to come very soon. And I have your back, and we're going to make sure you become our next senator here in California. And thank you so much again for inviting me on your show.
Absolutely. What I would like to do is, yes, I am running for U.S. Senate again. I'm going to run for Kamala Harris' seat. We have 4 years to build that bridge, girl.
Yes.
And like you and I talked about in our pre-interview, I mean, really, this is a connective effort. This is about people. This is about connecting the community, but it's also about money. And you know, it's a big picture, and California is rough, and the people are just getting over 8 years of an Obama economy.
Oh yes, and we've suffered not only in California but the nation. Mm-hmm. And I tell everybody that we have to keep the House in the Senate. Absolutely. Otherwise, everything that our president Donald Trump has worked for with tax reform, jobs, everything, national defense, building up the military, if we do not keep the House in the Senate, it will all be gone. Mm-hmm. And right now, as anybody who lives in California and those who see it online, California, we are the last state. We are the state where we have to make it work. We have to elect a Republican governor, mm-hmm. Senate, House reps. We have to do it because the taxes are extremely high still here in California. The homeless rate is growing here in California, but we have to make sure we elect people like myself, Bill Asaley, Ali Mazari, Erin Cruz in 4 years. We could make this work. California, I was born and raised in California. It's the Golden State.
It is the Golden State.
It is the Golden State, but right now we have Gavin Newsom and John Cox running for governor. We cannot have Gavin Newsom as our next governor.
You know, I'm working. I want to get John Cox on our show.
Good.
We need to have him speak to the people. Not Fox News, not through any of these conglomerates. We really need people to get him in front of the populace and work hard to help him get out his voice. And it's a team effort. It's all of our Republican candidates, fiscally conservative candidates. It's so important. It's so important. So now tell me about you, though. Your race, you're in Moreno Valley. You're in you're running for the 41st District, Riverside County. and you've lived there, you've worked there. How are the people seeing this race from their perspective?
I have mixed feelings with people. Everybody's excited that I'm running, but I need more name recognition. And in the primary, I'm a Christian. It was by the grace of God. I made it through the primary with good numbers. Don't look at the percentage. I'm only 13,000 votes between me and my opponent, Mark Takano. So we can make this district red again. It used to be a Republican district. We used to have thriving business and conservative. It was a great family district, and Mark Takano came. It just went downhill. And I'm telling everybody, I need all the support that I can. Everything that will help to get my name out with signs, yard signs, mailers, everything. People said, if you just had a little bit more extra, you would have got much closer to gap.
That extra is big money, okay? Yes. That extra is not just, I mean, all of us together with $5. This is what I said. Everybody $1, everybody $5, all that. It all adds up. But in the scheme of things, it's going to get to the point where, people want yard signs. Do you have downloadables that people can take them to Staples and make their own? Because, this is the deal, is like, we have to be innovative. And all of this costs money. So there are a couple options. People can contribute to the campaign, and the campaign can furnish it. Or they can be innovative, and they can come up with people did it with Donald Trump, right?
Yes,
they did. They went out and they just went crazy. They did their own thing. One of the interesting things about Donald Trump is he didn't beat down on people when they made their own Make America Great Again hats. He just was like, go for it, and so this is the deal with you and your campaign is, we need grassroots. We need people to step up. You have your hands full. We need people to come around you and help you. It's time, talent, or treasure. You need all three. You need all three.
And I tell people every day, just to do what I had on my little budget, I said, now is the time. We have to put our boots on, and we're going to have a good ground game. Because Mark Takano is going to outraise me. But the message, the heart of the message to get out to the district, with the working class families, the single parents, gases, we have to vote yes on 6 for Carl DeMaio because the gas tax is killing everybody. It cost me $50 just to fill up my tank. And I'm a working class person. I'm not a rich person.
Well, that's one way we can get people out to the polls, right?
Yes.
Because that's part of it. It's not just, getting your name out there. Yes, that's part of it. But it's also getting people to the polls, because getting your name out there doesn't help unless the people vote for you. So part of that is getting out the information on the gas tax. People of Moreno Valley, if you're commuting to work because you live in a nicer neighborhood that might be a little bit further away to work or what have you, and you're eating up all that extra cash in your gas tank, blown right out the tailpipe. If you want to see the gas tax removed, make sure you get out to vote for Aja Smith, and make sure you get out to vote on the gas tax measure. I think that's part of it.
Because a lot of people don't know all of these taxes, they add up, food prices, everything. And we have to get out to vote, not only as Republicans, but the independents and the declined states. You have to get out and vote November. I even have some Democrats who came to me and said, we voted for you because we loved your message. And I said, thank you so much, because they said they were sick of their own party politics as well. They want to live the American dream.
Yeah, and I think that's part of it is, I don't know what happened.
Uh-oh.
Hold on.
I can see you.
There we go. I think we're back.
Okay.
We're back. Okay, it's a good thing this is recorded, right?
Okay.
Pause. So yes, I think it's important. The independents, the libertarians, and even the Democrats, the walk-away people who are not liberal, leftist, progressive.
Far left, socialist, everything.
They are hardworking people, right?
They are.
Just like it doesn't matter if you have a D or an R. If you're hardworking and you want to see government spend your money wisely, you need to vote for Aja. So now, you're doing a bid to go into the United States House of Representatives.
Yes, I am.
And what do you see as your top 3 initiatives when you get in there? When you walk in those doors, what are the kinds of legislation that you would like to see passed?
Well, you mentioned a good thing. I am a United States Air Force Reserve veteran, and a lot of people, when they think of the military, they only think of active duty. I was a reservist, and it was a lot of things within the reserve program that I feel and it should change, especially when it comes to retirement. And a lot of people don't think that when you're active duty, you spend 20 years in the military, you get your check the next month. But guess what? When you're a reservist, you don't get your check till you're 60 years old. And I have a lot of friends, and I even have one special dear friend of mine who was homeless for 3 years because he was not 60 years old, and he did 30 years of service. 30 years.
So you see reform, you see pension or retirement reform for veterans be refined.
Exactly. And a lot of people don't see that. We need a lot of reform in Veterans Administration with health care, PTSD treatment, our homeless veterans. I want to make it happen. I am not the problem. I want to fix the problem and be the solution, because I have friends who suffered. I have friends who committed suicide. I want to see more programs and more reform on veteran suicide. I've had at least 5 friends who died. And
we need to start putting America first, our citizens first.
Yes.
And our veterans and our homeless. I mean, all of these things need to be addressed, top priority. I agree with you. I agree with you 100%.
There's a lot of things that we can do more and more for our veterans, but we have to make sure that we elect people who care, such as I do, veterans who understand. Mark DeConnell has no clue when it comes to veterans issues. He really doesn't. And we also need to make sure that our taxes are low so we can support the small businesses. We have a lot of great small businesses in my district, and I see the food prices are going up. There's less workers. So we need to bring that quality of life back to give younger people an incentive to be small business owners as well, because the low tax incentives, the less regulation, we can have great and better entrepreneurship in my district.
Right, agreed wholeheartedly. And especially in your district, I think, going back to the gas taxes and some of the regulatory reform, anytime it costs more to ship something, to bring something in, to import something even from the coast, I was running for U.S. Senate to bring something from the coast into your district. All of these things have costs, and most of them are guarded by regulations, and it does drive costs up. But for the small businesses, there's regulations on a federal level. They need cut. We need entrepreneurship, and wouldn't it be great if if the younger generation had that opportunity and were able to seize it and take advantage?
And another thing I like to bring to promote in my district is STEM. A lot of people are not college bound, and I met people who were not college bound, but they want to learn trade, and we need to bring back the trades into schools, because a lot of the younger people are going to the universities, spending a lot of money, and they get out and graduate, they cannot get a job. But if we can offer a trade program, they can have great apprenticeships and where they can start their own business, such as electrician, air conditioning, mechanics, different things like that. And we can start showing them everything that you're learning. I'll use Berkeley as an example with the Antifa and everything. No, that's not how the real world works.
Right, and that doesn't put food on your table.
What's going to put food on your table is going to make you a better productive citizen instead of calling everybody a Nazi and a fascist. Let's bring it back and start bringing in trade into the schools, into the junior colleges. And I went to junior college.
And even in the high schools. I mean,
in the high schools.
What I would like to see is that I would like to see, and I don't know what you think about this, but I would like to see on a federal level them address. I don't like the Department of Education, okay? I think it's redundant and a waste. But what I would like to see is on a federal level, have them look at what programs should be in our schools. I mean, if they're going to be looking at that, they should be looking at that and saying on a very practical shell level, gosh, the auto programs were wonderful.
Yes.
Auto mechanics, computer tech programs, other kinds of things. Getting high school minded people. They may not be, you know, a mathematician or a chemist, or, you know, they may have other jobs. All jobs are good jobs. It's
and they're
good
all
work. It's good work, but we have to get it in there. And maybe that's something that you can also work on. You said STEM, that's a priority.
And the STEM is a priority because we have a lot of technology interventions coming in, and a lot of people are not qualified to get those jobs. Logistics, especially my district, is going to be a hot commodity pretty soon. And so we have a lot of people, a lot of young people that are not trained to work in those types of industries. And I'm running against a congressman who is a teacher or a former teacher. Nobody knows when's the last time he taught. He's not talking about these things, you know, and everything. I'm not knocking every profession, and I'm not knocking any type of industry, but he just went in there, and especially with the new administration, is all bashing the president. I went to one of his town hall meetings about two and a half weeks ago about immigration. Everything was bashing the president instead of him saying, here is how we solve the problem. There was no problem.
I mean, he doesn't have to agree, right? He can say, no, this is the issue. This is what we see the president doing. This is my agenda. It doesn't have to be all bash, bash, bash. So your perspective, I'm hearing, is you're gonna look at this very pragmatically and say, we have problems. This is the solution. Solve them. Yeah. It's as easy as that. I mean, the details, of course, need ironed in each case, but I think that's it, is people are wasting our time and money on an agenda rather than actually looking to serve their populace, which in your area, I did read that there are a lot of blue-collar workers, and there are also a lot of individuals who work on the base, as well as corporations or companies, mom and pop businesses that feed the base. Basically, right? They work hand in hand. You know, these sorts of individuals work hard for their money. I would think that they would want to support somebody like you that's going to safeguard and look to their better interest. And they're smart people, right?
There's a lot of smart people out here. We do have a high blue-collar district. And I also want to bring white-collar opportunities for the younger generation, especially the medical field. My mother and grandmother, retired nurses. It's great, but we need to start bringing in more of those opportunities to the younger people, and also people, you know, in the midlife who want to do a new career field. Start bringing those types of opportunities, whether it be hospital administration, records management, so we can have a thriving city. Another one big thing that I push for is national security, national defense. And I went to the border last year, and I saw the issues that we have, and I do support our Border Patrol men and women, because they put their lives in danger
every day.
They do, every single day, and they need a lot of help.
And even when they go home,
yes,
even when they leave their job, just by default, what they do for a living,
yes,
they're putting, especially with the climate such as it is, they're risking their lives every day for us.
And they have a lot of stress, Erin. I've known people who told me stories. They do have a suicide rate within their own department. We also have a great police force out here, Riverside Sheriffs, and they put their lives every day, and we need to support them.
We do, absolutely. So now, as far as back to, I want to kind of take you back to, before we go on to the law enforcement, because I really want to talk about law enforcement.
Yes.
You know, but back to the border and national security and the Border Patrol. Do you support our president on his America First policy, and what do you see as needing to be done in the United States Congress to help the national security initiative as it relates to immigration and the border?
Well, I do have a background for many years in security management. I know anti-terrorism, OPSEC, everything, and I know those issues. What a lot of people don't realize, you can have one person that's coming from a terror sponsor state such as Iran or Saudi Arabia that will come over here in that crowd that we've seen so many times, and we saw what happened with 9/11. It only took a few.
It only takes one bad seed.
It only takes one, and that's all you need. So we do need to have better screening, better vetting, But it is hard. But the problem with our border is that we need to also hire more Border Patrol agents as well.
Yes, I agree.
And that's the problem too. And they need more federal funding for for that issue. And just talking to the people down there that were working, and my great hosts, they also have a sewage problem that's coming over from Mexico to California, Imperial Beach. We need to work on that because a lot of our agents are going into that sewage and that waste, and they're getting all kinds of scars and burns and being exposed to
major health and environmental issue. Now, I know somebody else who's running for Congress. It's Juan Hidalgo. He's running for the 51st district, and it's the most southern part, the most southern region. That's in his district, that sewage, and he also has gone down there. And you both are saying the same thing. And I hear candidate after candidate after candidate talk about this. I hear people concerned about this. I hear, just so much about this, and yet little is being done. And so I think what most people want to know is, one, what are you going to do? And two, can they hold you accountable? And I think and for what I know about you, you're a woman of your word, a person of your word, and people can count on you and stand behind you and expect you to help find solutions. And then, you know what, if the current Congress and other people aren't actually working for the American people, we're going to need you to speak out about that and support Donald Trump and that initiative, because the reality is this: a lot of people, I believe, aren't doing their jobs. Right. And we want people like you we can trust to go in there and do the good hard work. And it's going to be an uphill battle, though, I think, to get what you want, the funding and some of that cleanup. And
it's going to be an uphill battle, but when we start exposing the truth, I have video, I have pictures, it is alive and well. What I always wonder, why does Jerry Brown charges us 10 cents per bag, but we're getting sewage waste over here? They're trying to ban straws. That's the hypocrisy that needs to be questioned and thrown out there. And start asking them, saying, you want all these environmental impacts that hinder businesses, but then you have sewage coming over here to California, you're doing nothing about it. So that's the hypocrisy that needs to be exposed. And I tell people, it is an uphill battle, especially going to the United States House, but at the same time, you have to go by the Constitution.
Absolutely.
I tell people there's limits what I can do versus state versus local, but we can all work together. But constitutionally, that's what I signed up to defend until I die, is the United States Constitution, to save our republic.
And you also, when you became a candidate for the House of Representatives, you took an oath.
Yes.
You took an oath. Many people don't know that you actually, when you become a candidate, yes, you took an oath when you served, or in other jobs maybe where you had some sort of a classification, you might have had to take an oath.
Right.
But when you run for office, you take an oath. And not only did you take an oath for the United States Constitution, Aja, but I'm sure you probably remember, you also took an oath to the California Constitution. Yes. And people need to understand that the individuals who are running for office, who are progressive left, or incumbents, like in your case in the 41st district, they're not upholding their oaths.
No, they're not.
And it is serious. As a candidate, even, you have that oath. So even more so.
And I was at Mark Takano's immigration town hall meeting, which was a complete joke. But somebody
it's not a joke, it's a horror.
It is.
I'm going to just say it. These people are horrific, Aja. You don't have to say it. I will say it. These people are traitors. Okay? And they're defying their oath. And we need people like you who will respect the United States Constitution and will honor their oath.
Yes. And he did get called out. He said, you took an oath to defend the United States Constitution. He says, of course I did. And they said, well, you oppose the Second Amendment. You want to take away our guns. You want to suppress free speech. And he's like, oh, no, I don't. And I'm sitting there just saying, this is a joke. You do not like our constitutional freedoms. And that's where people need to go get a pocket constitution and carry it. I carry mine everywhere that I go.
I have mine in my purse.
Yes.
Amen, girl.
Yes.
Amen. I completely love it. And when people go off, I just open it.
Oh, I said, well, here's the Constitution. And I tell people, I tell them, let me see. Hope I didn't take everything out of my purse already, because I switch purses. But
You're a busy woman. We won't expect you to know which purse you used today.
Okay. I tell people, as a House of Representatives, you make law. You determine and you implement the law. And that's where a lot of the people like Mark Takano, Maxine Waters, Nancy Pelosi, they haven't placed a bill since they've been in office. I think maybe Maxine, maybe 1 or 2 bills. Mark Takano, I haven't heard a bill that even significant.
A lot of them co-sponsor.
Yeah, they
right?
co-sponsor.
So some lobbyists, this is how it works. Some lobbyist writes it, pretty much. Some lobbyist or group writes it because they say, oh, we want to do this. This is the agenda. Some lobbyist comes up with it. I mean, who else comes up with a stack this big, when they're always busy on CNN, these congresspersons? Yeah, right. So they come up with these bills this big that a lobbyist wrote, and then they push it. And I think they all co-sponsor it. And good Lord, this is why we're in the situation we're in. And Mark
they don't know their job.
They're talking heads. We need you in there doing your job for the good people of the 41st District who work very hard in their jobs. This is serious business, and you take it seriously, and I love that. And Mark Takano, it sounds like he's just a talking head, and we don't need talking heads anymore.
No, we don't. We need people to go there and work.
No more of this and this.
Stop working.
And a lot more of this and this.
Exactly, and that's what they need to do. I see that on TV. I see it on TV now, and I said, how can you still elect this type of person? And they said, well, they're doing a great job, and I said, no, they're not. Look at their voting record.
Well, I think part of it is people don't realize what they're doing. It's so. The things they legislate in many ways are extreme, but they're subtle in other ways. And so over time, even what Obama did, most of his legislation under his, even though we can talk about the structure of who he worked with while he was in office, but over time, the policies that went through, most of them didn't take effect until like 2014, 2015, 2016. Exactly. So, I think it's difficult because, it's all so subtle. But the reality is this, we're in deep trouble as Americans. And, we do need people like you in office to make the tough choices. So now, I have a question.
Yes.
Maybe you have an answer. So you're for strong border infrastructure. You're for supporting the president and protecting and defending the Constitution. Where do you stand on law enforcement? Now I know that's maybe a state issue, and so that's not really part of your umbrella. But we have some issues as it relates to the state. We have the federal level, which is now conflicting with the state level, right? And ICE and everything else. And, people are concerned. It doesn't matter if you live in California, Arizona, Texas, or what have you. National security is national security. And ICE needs to be able to do their job. So where do you stand on in that big picture?
I support ICE. I support the Homeland Security. I support everything that's under the Department of Homeland Security. We have it for a reason. And I tell people, it may sound like they're bullies, but they do go and get those who are criminals and they deport them. They're not the Gestapo. They're not the brown shirts, because I can go on and on about that.
You can go look at other third world countries and other countries abroad and see what that really looks like, and we can look at history and know what that looks like.
It really looks
it's
like
not what ICE is.
But our men and women who are in those agencies, including the federal marshals and everybody else, they have a tough job. And I support them all the way. To abolish an agency because you just don't like them, well, I don't like a lot of things, but I'm not trying to abolish it, or I'm not trying to get rid of it. And I tell people, you have to realize we are in a different time when it comes to national security. We have a lot of enemies within and a lot of enemies that are trying to come here and bring our republic down. And I keep stressing republic. And the reason why I keep stressing republic, because we live underneath a constitutional republic. The Democrats, the far left, the progressives, and the socialists want us to be full democracy. And we know that mob rules fails. We've seen that in history. And I tell people that I'm very strong on those two distinctions. But when
it's important to make the distinction because the media is trying to do away with the distinction. As a matter of fact, they're promoting that there is no distinction.
There is a distinction, and I tell people you have to understand the Constitution. I'm very hard on the Constitution. Now, when it comes to states' rights and federal and local, yes, there's a separation of powers. But at the same time, when it comes to the federal level, what happened with I forgot what agency it was, and I'm sorry I had a long day. It was 108 degrees today, but I made it through.
It's 122 here, I think.
Oh my God. Okay, you need to come move where I live. Cut down from
come and become a constituent of Asha's district.
There, come and move. You can move right in with me. My grandmother and my mother, they love you. So,
Aww, I love them too. So
they love you. But when it comes to the federal agencies, what's next? I always tell people, what's next? The military? What's next?
Oh yes, I believe that is what they want to do. They
want to demilitarize the country. What do you want? So the problem is you have so many people who don't want to adhere to the law, so they want to get rid of the law. And we cannot do that. Otherwise, our country will fall. And we've seen that. We've been warned.
Right, right. And our founders, I believe.
I support all of our agents. I've met a couple of those agents throughout my career and for a very long time. And they have the toughest job. Border Patrol, custom agents. I said, I did apply. I remember a couple of years ago, I did apply to be a customs agent, a Border Patrol agent, but I couldn't even pass. It's a tough job. They work long hours and they have families as well, and they need respect as well. And I tell people we need to support these people because they are protecting us from adversaries that are here to harm us.
Here, on our soil.
Yes.
Our soil.
Yes.
Not their soil. Our soil. We're only defending what is ours. We're a sovereign nation. Right? And I think that's important, an important thing you mentioned, because people just are killing the idea that this is our nation, the idea of open borders, and then now they want to dismantle ICE. They're harsh, and this is not nice, and that is not nice. Look, the world is not nice.
No, it's not.
Look outside of our borders. There are a lot of nations that are suffering. Many people want to come here.
And to get away from the suffrage and live the American dream.
And the only way we protect it.
But at the same time, they're coming here, whether you're legally or illegally, and they're being brainwashed that the far left is the party for them, and they're not. They're trying to get away from, I met people who were immigrants. They said, we came here. I don't know, some of them. Then they said, we thought the Democratic Party were for us until they started researching and realizing, said, no, they're not for us. So they switched to Republican. And they said, we thought by coming here, the Democrat Party were for the minorities, the small business owners, and come to find out they weren't.
It's messaging. It has nothing to do with policy and everything to do with messaging. And you're so right there, Aja. Yes, what I like to do is I like to tell people that family values, our Hispanic values, our XYZ family values are integral to many different cultures, right?
Yes.
Those are Republican values.
Yes. Very conservative, hard work, go to school, do the best and thrive the best you can.
It's that simple. Let people work, let them live their lives, and government has its place. And I think you believe that too, right? So what I'm hearing is that you support our military, you support our law enforcement, you support ICE, you support strong national security initiatives, you want less government.
Yes, I do.
Easing off on regulations, smart regulations. And you said earlier lowering tax. What do you where do you stand on adjusting or making further adjustments to President Donald Trump's tax reform? I know they did some, but he said himself that he didn't have enough support to be able to do everything he wanted to do as far as tax reform. I'm in favor.
I do lean on this. I may gain votes or may lose votes. I don't know. But I do lean on we should try a flat tax. And eventually, as Rand Paul and his father always said, the income tax is illegal, to get rid of it. But that's going to take years to come. We can't do everything overnight because it would be too much.
Nothing can be done overnight. You're right.
Overnight. But I said we can try a flat tax. And I believe Herman Cain ran on that before, and a couple other candidates. And I know Rand Paul ran on that before as well.
Donald Trump talked about many different ways that he would have liked to see tax reform happen. I think the biggest thing that Donald Trump and I got as a constituent of his was that he basically wanted to ease the tax on Americans, and we had to do something. So now what he did was he took the first step, right? So now we have to take one more. My thing as a constituent, and I'm not in your 41st district, but many people in your district might think this way too, is that the government should be, if it's going to be there, it should be working for the people. And if it can ease a tax burden and ease regulation and streamline to eliminate itself, so to speak, but it should be doing that, right? It should be working for the people. The people shouldn't be working to support it. So,
well, the federal government, that is the role. It's not to hinder people. It is to make sure that our rights are protected. And that's where a lot of people are getting confused when it comes to federal government. And that's where I get it. And that's where I want to run and be part of the process. Right. And make sure that my constituents and the people who don't even like me, I can tell them this is the role of the federal government, is to protect our rights that are given to us by God, and to protect our rights that were written, and to give us the powers to be, because it's we the people. Right. It's not me the politician, it's not even the president. I'm looking down on you because we don't have a monarch anymore. That's why we don't even have a monarch. We have a
representative republic, right?
Representative republic, and that's the problem now. With you talked about the Department of Education. It's not being taught in schools about this anymore. Luckily, when I went to school, we were taught this. Right. But now I ask younger people, they don't even know this. They think everything is the president's fault or the federal government. They're not talking or teaching the separation of powers anymore. And that's
we have to get back to the basics.
Oh yeah, we have to go back to civics. We have to go back to basics. And that's why we have the issues that we see right now. Even people my age, I was shocked. I see on Facebook, on Twitter, and I'm like, well, how old are you? And some people are a little bit older than me, and they said, well, no, everything is federal government. I said, no, it's not. Yeah. The federal government is to protect our Constitution rights, and that's it. But less taxes, a free market. I am a free market person. I am an admirer of Milton Friedman because I am a business major as well, and I know economics. And once we have a free market, healthcare or any type of other industry, the costs will become lower. But right. I do support the president. He's looking to pass that to buy healthcare insurance across state lines, and we will see a difference in that.
And tort reform? Do you support tort reform?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Oh, yes, I do.
Yeah. So are you for repealing Obamacare completely?
Yes, and it should be free market.
Free market.
It should be free market. People don't understand. California, we're one of those few states that we have multiple insurance carriers. We don't have one, but the state of California is really trying to do universal health care. We're trying to be the experiment state. We're the experiment state for everything, as everybody knows and sees on TV.
And by the way, just because we want to do a blip for that socialized health care, that Medicare for all or whatever you want to call it, that for California, they say some estimates, they say that if they enact that it's almost a flat, and it depends on who you look at, 2 to 2.5 to 4% tax on every single person here.
Yes.
I don't know about you, but there's a lot of people that can't afford 4%,
No.
2%, 1%.
No.
And we know government, it always costs triple what they end up saying. And you know, it's all a big lie. And I think that you said it right. California is always the experiment state. Well, you know what? We don't want to be experimented on. We know capitalism works. Free market is where it's at.
Yes.
And I'm so glad to hear that you are a strong voice, Aja, because when you're in the United States House of Representatives, you may not be able to, act on state level legislation. Obviously,
But
you're not. It's federal,
I have
state,
a voice on it.
but you have a voice. And I've seen Maxine Waters, I've seen Nancy Pelosi, I've seen your guy, I've seen so many, Dianne Feinstein, Kamala Harris, who I'm now running against. I've seen these people all talk about state issues and basically want to usher in socialism on the California people. They're a federal person.
Yes.
You can have that same voice. And actually, I wanted to ask you one more thing, because I did see this all through the state, is when Donald Trump passed his tax reform on a partisan line. By the way, no Democrats voted for that, okay?
Right.
Republicans voted for that. Your guy, what is Decano, right?
Decano.
He did not vote for tax reform. He voted that the federal government should be able to keep more of your potential constituents' money, period. He did not vote to support Donald Trump or tax reduction or reform. But these people come out and chastise Trump. They can be a loud voice to help influence California to marry their taxes and their tax reform to the federal government. There's no reason why the state shouldn't adjust its tax after the federal adjusts its tax to be able to suit for a good plan for the American public. And that's something that you can talk about, and you'll have a voice. And that voice is so important. And I know you are already a strong voice, and so I know that you'll advocate for your constituency all the way across the board. But I have one more question. Do you have time for one more question?
Oh, I have all the time. I'm just sitting here.
Okay, because there's so much I want to ask you, and we're going to actually have you on the show. For people who are just now joining us, this is Aja Smith. She is running for the 41st Congressional District. That's in Moreno Valley in Riverside County. She is an amazing woman. She's a veteran. She's a patriot. She's a daughter. She's just a brilliant woman, and boy, she has ideas, and she supports our president. She supports law enforcement. All of these things is wonderful. But I would like to know, very quite honestly, where you stand. And I hope it's a hot topic issue. Where you stand on the tariffs and some of the things that are happening, with Donald Trump, and everything. A lot of the all of the financial bills start in the House of Representatives.
Yes, they do.
So that's really important. I would like to know where you stand on this.
I've been following the president when he was the real estate billionaire for a very long time.
He knows his stuff.
He knows he is the master of deals.
Didn't he write a book about that?
Huh?
He wrote a book about that, right?
The Art of the Deal. And for a very long time, I followed him, and I said, I want to be like him. This guy can really make some deals, and he can move and shake. But what a lot of people don't understand, we have a president that is a master deal maker. And he spoke today and said it was billions of dollars that were stripped away from us that did not come back to this country. Now, here we are as citizens, regardless of party. We complain about the roads. We complain about there's not enough resources or money for programs or here and there, whatever pet program or whatever T program.
Regardless of DR or anything else.
Because we always talk about funding. Now, the president just said today he was at an event, and I forgot what state he was at, and he was talking. He said it was billions that we missed out on for so many years that we can have back in this country, so we can have more money, so we can fund the roads and fund whatever project. Well, we'll hash out the projects. To me, it should be infrastructure and transportation, especially living here in California. And I stand with him because I trust his judgment. At first I said, oh, a trade war, I don't know. And I was listening to Ted Cruz about it today, where he's kind of eerie too, and he's the most conservative Republican up there in the House. And I do admire
And he's a smart man.
He's a very smart man. And I was saying in the beginning with this trade, I said the president knows what he's doing, because he's going to make every country, especially Canada and Mexico and Germany and so forth, a deal that they cannot refuse. So I'm watching it very carefully, and I'm also researching and different people what they have to say, the pros and the cons within our own party, and to see how is this going to play out. When it came down to negotiations with the Iran deal, I said go for it. We should have never went into the Iran deal. Mark McConnell voted for the Iran deal. Oh, yes.
He voted to give the equivalent, if we want to get into that. Okay, I bring this up because people need to understand the value of a dollar.
Yes.
We gave billions to Iran, which translated in Iranian dollars, translated to trillions.
Yes.
Okay.
Trillions.
Just gave it to them, and we had owed that money to them for a very long time.
Well,
the timing was suspect. We shouldn't have done anything.
Nothing. But when it comes to the tariffs, I'm watching it very closely, especially as a person that I am a business major, and I followed the President Donald Trump for a very long time, and I'm researching it myself. But I want to make sure that this is the best deal, and I know that's one of the main reasons why I voted for him, because he is a good deal maker.
Right.
Because he saw the problems for so many years. If people go on YouTube and look up Donald Trump testifying on the House committees back in the 80s and the 90s, he talks about these deals and saying how we're doing a terrible job with these deals. I see the problem when it comes to both parties who are upset because we have an outsider who became president who finally said enough is enough.
He's shaking up the house of cards. That's what he's doing. He's shaking up and he's knocking it out.
Erin, this is better than a house of cards, and I'm a big fan of that program on Netflix.
All I can think about is all these cards stacked up like in the old TV show with the cartoons. And you come over and you push it.
Up. He has a whole new deck. Whole new deck of cards. And nobody knows. I tell everybody, our president plays 3D chess. He plays political chess. But when it comes to the tariffs, I trust and I pray that this is going to really help us reduce our deficit, and it will bring back revenue, and it will work. It won't happen overnight. It'll probably take maybe 4, close to 10 years, hopefully not that long, for us to see the effects of this deal that he's going to bring. Hopefully he gets a second term. I pray that he gets a second term, and I hope and pray that we get another Republican that will take his place after his 8 years, so we can see our economy actually grow. Right. And people will say, wow, this was a really good president, and whoever his predecessor will be too, to keep that legacy going, because we are built on a foundation in the country of freedom of liberty, free market, and prosperity. And that's what we need to make sure that we keep that legacy going.
Well, we hope and we pray, and we're actually going to work hard to help you get elected as the people. This is a federal position. Anybody can contribute to your campaign who's eligible to contribute. But we hope and we pray and we will work hard towards getting you in there so you can support Donald Trump. Because here's the thing. If the policies can't get through, if the reforms don't happen, if when these things don't get taken care of and Donald Trump can't do his job and we're not seeing the gains and the benefits, it's going to be harder to get him reelected. So people like you getting into the United States House of Representatives, retaining that House, gaining new seats, will ensure that by 2019 you'll be in place, you'll have a good year to work,
Yes.
Then the campaigning starts for presidency. As a matter of fact, I heard that Kamala Harris wants to run against Donald Trump in 2020. But the way I see it is it's a progression, and it's a systematic process where you'll be able to be in there. You'll be able to work hard. You'll be able to support the president, also the Constitution, and work for your constituents to get things done, and help him to get his next term so you can continue to legislate. Because this is the deal. We can't lose those House seats. And you're part of that. We have problems.
Yes.
We have solutions. And Aja Smith for the 41st District is one of those solutions. Now, Aja, I'm going to give you just a few minutes here. If you could give the audience, the listeners of the Erin Cruz Show and the watchers of the Erin Cruz Show, your name, your district you're running for, just like a 30 or 40 second recap, and then also let them know where they can go to contribute to your campaign and get involved. That would be great.
Thank you so much, and thank you everybody for listening. Please keep in touch. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter, Aja for Congress. My website is www.aja4congress.com. I'm still building up my website. I tell people you can donate, you can shoot me a message, you can ask how can you help. Contributions are really going to be needed right now. I need more yard signs, I need mailers, I need pamphlets. I have my ground game ready to go, but we need to get those contributions. Every little bit helps and counts, because right now I'm not going to outrace my incumbent, but at the same time, we will outvote him. So in November, I will be the next Congresswoman in District 41 and here in Southern California. And I tell people this, and especially those who are more concentrated on the state of California, if we lose the federal House and the Senate, we will lose our state and we will lose our country. I have nothing against anybody who is running on the state level. I support all of my friends who are running on the state level, including our future Governor John Cox. But if we lose the United States House and Senate, we will lose everything that we've all worked hard for, grassroots all the way up. So it is imperative that we keep our seats and we flip seats as well.
41st District.
41st District. We're going to flip this seat back red because it used to be red. It used to be red for a very long time. But we have to get out there and we have to support every candidate that's running. Grassroots, ground game, that's what's going to have to happen. We're going to have the boots on the ground. I call my team Gideon's Army. I don't have 1,000 or 2,000 volunteers. I'm building up to 300.
That's a great starting place. It really is. We still have a few more months. And so if you don't live in Riverside, if you live in Riverside County, maybe you don't live in Aja's district, you can still help.
And you still help me.
Be it telling your friends about her, having them skip a latte for the week and giving her $5, I can tell you, this woman, she will do well with your funds. It's not her. She knows it's not her money.
No, it's
and
not.
I can tell you that. And I know I wouldn't have Aja on the show and be working with her to help get her voice out if I didn't fully believe in her and her platform and what she's striving to accomplish. Now, Aja, you've got to come on the show again. We want to hear about the details of your race and kind of the conflicts as there's my dog. Can you hear my dog, Edward? But we want to have you on the show again, talk about your race, talk about the specifics as it starts heating up towards November. We want to make sure that your constituents know, that our listeners know, anytime that you have something you want to speak out about, that Erin Cruz Show is here for you, that we will give you that voice and that platform. And we definitely want to have you back on. And God bless you and God watch over you. We're going to be praying for you every night, Aja.
Every night. And I want to tell everybody, please pay attention what's going on with the FISA warrants. Please pay attention what's going on with that part with national security, because that is a hot topic that everybody's trying to sweep underneath the rug. Taking away the security clearance is a big issue, and I know a lot about that and how that process works.
It's important.
But at the same time, pay attention to the bigger picture and what's going on with the investigation, because that right there is going to really establish on what's been really going on that we didn't know, especially with the last administration.
Right, and that's a national security issue, and that's something that some of these committees meet about. You know, people think that the House of Representatives, even the Senate, that these members of Congress, that they just legislate. They don't. They're on different types of committees. They do hearings. They do all sorts of different functions, and it's important to understand the seriousness and how the actions of a prior administration can actually impact current administration. When you have corruption like we have currently and have had currently, we still have it. It's still there. There are a lot of people embedded. And you know, all it takes is a few good men to keep this nation on track, and a few good women as well. But yeah, I agree with you. It's a complex job in the House of Representatives and in the Congress, and they have a lot of work ahead of them, and you can't ignore any one piece.
No, you can't.
So important.
And I want
people need to be held accountable.
Oh yes, a lot of accountability, and we need a lot of transparency.
So now we did our last outro, but you know what? I think I have one more question for you, because we see hearing after hearing after hearing after hearing. We see Trey Gowdy. We see all these big names, and everybody's meeting and hearings and questioning and all this stuff. Where are the results? Where's the impact? We really are looking to people who we can elect, where we will see results. And will you be a game changer in that you will make sure we get results from these hearings?
And that comes with my military background. We train for results. We train and train and train, so when it's time to go to war, we have results.
Right.
We have results, and we have to complete the mission. Right now, the investigation's gone too long, and we need results. Circles. It's like a hamster. I think the hamster is dead.
I want to know where. I want to know where Fast and the Furious went. I want to know what happened with some of these other investigations. All of a sudden, the media is silent. Well, we, the people, should have information, for one, and there should be results. There should be actionable items, you know.
Well, Erin, it's done by design.
Well, of course it's done by design, but we need to get people in there by design that will actually take action.
Well, the media is part of the problem. Yeah. You know, you go from one extreme, then you go to another extreme, but you're trying to figure out, what are they distracting us from? Mm-hmm. I go back to the book 1984.
We might as well go one step further and talk about Soylent Green, okay? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just
the book 1984, and it is one of the greatest books ever written, I think. But at the same time, you have to ask, where are the results on both sides of the aisle? You know, I admire Trey Gowdy, I admire Devin Nunes, but where are the results? But at the same time, I really think that their hands are tied, and they really want to say something. You have to
wonder why their hands are tied, and I'm going to leave that there, because you know, you can't speak to certain things because you haven't been briefed, and you haven't been read in, and there's so much out there on foreign policy, on different actions. I mean, you can't speak to it. You know, you could tell us that yes, you want to take action, but there is so much we don't know.
And a lot of things, and I go back with the need to know, the briefings that are classified. I know that the president does have authority to declassify, but I think he's going to think long and hard.
He has to be smart. We have to think about the long term, and I get that, and he's a smart man. But I can't wait to have you in there, because you say you're in for results, which we are too, as we the people. So, well, thank you again, Aja, for being on the Erin Cruz Show. We're so blessed to have you on, and we can't wait to see you elected as our next Congresswoman for the next 2 years, and then 2 more years. We are going to get in term limits, though, right?
Yes, we are.
But no, we want you in there and get you reelected and get some work done. And God bless you.
To really make sure that we start and progress, we make sure that our district, our state, and our country is going to flourish.
Absolutely, absolutely. I believe we have the same common goal. Well, there you are, everybody. You know, we had Aja Smith on the show from the 41st District in Moreno Valley, in Riverside County. She's a phenomenal woman, a veteran. She just loves this country, and she wants to do the good work for the people. So please, she gave her information. Go to her website, learn more about her, learn about her background.
Follow me.
Follow her on all social media. Share her posts. It's all about sharing. You know, here we have the Patriot Connection. We also have the Candidate Connection. It's all about connecting we the people for the future generations in this great republic.
To hear more and to learn more on how you can make an impact or about the Erin Cruz Show, visit us online at erincruz.com. That's ERINCRUZ.com.